Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, we're going to read this article, honestly, because I was kind of surprised at the title. So I want to go ahead and read it. It says, I ran into an old classmate after losing 168 pounds. Her reaction left me completely stunned. Quote, I wasn't sure what to do. I prayed no one else in the line noticed what was happening. The messy part of me was like, I have to see what this is. Like, I need the tea. They got me. Huffington Post got me. So we're going to read this and we're going to react to it. And hopefully it's good. And I will be really mad at Huffington Post if it is not great. This is very new as well. It happened literally like today, basically. So let's go for it. Or at least it was posted today. Okay. When I was 22, I took a job as a hostess at a hibachi restaurant in Huntington Village, the Long Island, New York town I grew up in. Hostessing was lonely and boring, but I got free carrot ginger dressing that I'd scooped into small bowls from the vat in the kitchen and eat like soup. That alone made it worth it. At that time, it had been over a year since I had started losing weight on my own. 2 years earlier, I had been discharged from the last hospital I had lived in for 6 months in Virginia, where weight loss was the misguided treatment prescribed for my BED. Okay. Interesting. From the age of 8, I was told how bad my body was. This is taking such a weird turn. Okay. We need to see. So first and foremost, I want to say here, weight loss in terms of BED is necessary if you are way too big, which can occur, especially in severe cases. Okay. Part of recovery is normalizing your weight, whether it's from a restrictive side or whether it's from the other side. It's really, really important. So I find this article very odd. So let's go ahead and see. But now we know, okay, this person has BED. Okay. All right. Let's see. This could get a little weird. From the age of 8, I was told how bad my body was. I was put on Weight Watchers, taken to doctors and nutritionists, and warned if I didn't start changing my body, I would never have a fulfilling life. People laughed at me, and strangers screamed at me from their cars as they drove by. I was frequently scolded by doctors and told that I didn't understand how dangerous it was to have a body like mine. Okay. This is really I could see this happening one time. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times when these types of people say these things, they say it like it happens every single day. I've had this happen to me before. Somebody has yelled at me from their car and they told me, run, fatty. They said that to me. People laughing at you. I don't know. I don't know if I've been laughed at, but I'm just saying I've had certain things happen. For the record, every fat phobic event I ever had happen to me happened in California. It happened in SoCal. For the record, I'm sure that's not a shock to anybody. Anyways, I was frequently scolded by doctors and told that I didn't understand how dangerous it was to have a body like mine. Yeah. So I had that treatment too. This was definitely a big thing when I was growing up as well. But it's true. It's still true. The constant shaming and forced dieting didn't help me and merely contributed to my struggle with a severe ED, which along with my mental health issues landed me in multiple hospitals over the next 12 years and influenced, two unaliving things. That's all I'm going to say. How do you stay alive in a world that tells you you don't deserve to exist as you are? Okay. I don't think this is the right question to ask. I think this is too far of a jump. I would say there's probably, there's a level of severeness if these are the thoughts that you're having. This might be a little bit more than an ED. You probably have some kind of comorbidities or it's going down like a whole other level, basically. That's very bad. Very, very depressed, sounds like. the author at the age of 8 in 1993. So this is what she looked like. Okay, it's a little chubby. When I was 19, 2 months after being discharged from a treatment center in Florida, I had applied to a different restaurant in Huntington Village. When I got to the interview, I knew immediately I wasn't going to be hired by the way the owner's eyes doubled in size the moment she saw me. You need to say how big you were, because I need to know for context. I think the readers need to know this is not giving enough information. I don't know what you're saying. How big were you? That would be really, really helpful for the context to understand what was going on. For the next 30 minutes, I sat across from her in a small room above the restaurant while she exclaimed in horror about how big I was and laughed in my face while asking, "How will you fit between the tables? How will you fit into our uniforms?" I sat and took it from her and thanked her for the interview before I ran out of the restaurant and into my car, where I sobbed and vowed never to apply to a job again. Oof. Yeah, if that's true, that's rough for sure. But I want to know how big. How big were you? But that's rough. Okay. Sorry. My visual just I'm still thinking about that. I'm like, oh, that never happened to me. But I guess I fit into at least a 3X most of the time. So I don't know. And I had some horrible experiences at the airport, where my uniform would fall apart constantly. It was just horrible. But anyways, and then when I gained weight, that was great too. And then I didn't quite fit in it. That was great too. That was really horrifying. Okay. Anyways, sorry. I'm going down so many rabbit holes in my mind right now. Okay. 3 months later, after the biggest relapse of my ED to date, I was admitted into the hospital in Virginia. Okay. I thrived in hospitals. I was an A-plus patient who followed all the rules, partially because I was terrified of what would happen to me if I didn't. I watched other patients get locked in their rooms, have privileges taken away, and sometimes in certain hospitals, I witnessed patients being mistreated. Some rules were helpful, like making my bed every day or being held accountable for showing up and participating in groups and therapy. Other rules were not, depending on the kind of ED you had, having your weight gain or loss be held against you. If my body held on to even a fraction of a pound, I would be accused of stealing food, having food stashed in my room, or eating extra food off of someone else's tray while staff wasn't looking. These were things I would never dream of doing because I saw what happened to people who did. Yeah, I was never institutionalized. It sounds rough for sure. I don't know. I think my opinion on this, the only thing I can really offer is just that you have to lower anxiety because it comes from anxiety. So anything that's creating more anxiety in a person will make BED worse. It can be a trigger. So whether that's really, really drilling in the health problems, you guys probably noticed on my channel, there are times where I talk about the seriousness of the health issues with obesity in a serious tone, but most of the time I don't. Most of the time I try to just say it in a more calming way and just say, your health is important. It's not it, right? There's certain ways that I talk about it. I try to talk about the health aspect in a way that doesn't create more anxiety. If I go on and on and on, if I were to say, blah, 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 it's going to kill you. You're going to die tomorrow. If you don't do it, you're going to do this. You're going to do that. When you put that kind of sense of urgency in somebody, that can be a trigger of BED, because you're creating anxiety in a person. So what I tend to advocate for on my channel is I say, no, just think of it as we're steering the ship in a different direction. It's slow, it's steady, it's sustained. You're going to be fine as long as you're going in the right direction. You're going to make it and you're going to be fine. Do you see how much more calming that is? That's why I talk about it in that way, because I know for people who have BED, it's very unhelpful to instill fear in somebody, to instill fear in them about anything. It can be a trigger. So, and again, I mean, I think we all have to, those of us that have that struggle, or in my case, I will continue to say I'm in remission. You have to take responsibility for it in a sense of like, the world isn't going to cater to you for having that. So you have to kind of process through triggers and figure out other coping mechanisms. That's how you essentially solve the issue. So I don't know if they were doing that there, or if it was more so from what she's saying. It sounds like it was just very much like a white knuckling it, like we're forcing you to stop kind of thing, which I don't know. I have questions about that, because I just wonder, like, how is somebody going to have a sustainable recovery once they leave? If that's just like white knuckling brute force type of thing, like, you have to instill a sense of self-control, or a sense of self-regulation, we'll call it. Self-control has a certain connotation that I don't want in this situation. But self-regulation, like, can you regulate your own emotions? These kind of things. Like, you have to take responsibility for yourself and for your life. And you have to have more courage in these kind of things. Do exposure therapies with anxiety, that kind of stuff. It's really all about anxiety. So I wonder if they were doing that, and I get it. This person's probably not going to talk about anything positive, it sounds like. But I wonder what other stuff they were doing there. And maybe we should look at that at this channel at some point, or on this channel at some point. Okay, anyways. It didn't matter how helpful or damaging the rules were. I knew the only way to really survive was to follow them strictly. Yeah, this sounds very, very anxiety. Okay. When you're saying these kind of things to yourself, that's like anxiety. Like, I've talked about kind of that ED voice, that running monologue, that kind of like, it's like a spiraling kind of like rumination. I have to do this. I have to lose the weight. I have to gain the weight. I have to lose the weight. I have to lose the weight. Like, I have to gain it. That kind of like, that's kind of what this is giving. It didn't matter how damaging. It doesn't matter. I got to do this. I can't survive. If I don't do this. I have to do this. You see, that's what it's giving. This is somebody who is, at the very least, they're giving me huge indications that they are not recovered whatsoever. And I would say this person could possibly be at a huge risk of relapse if they're in this constant anxiety state. Now, I've talked about recently on my channel how I have gone through triggers recently in terms of like my car and just certain things involved with that, and the finances and a lot of those things that are involved within my car situation. And I do have ruminating anxiety, but I don't have the ED anymore because it's divorced from eating behavior. I created that divide. So now I just have anxiety, which it's not great, but it's not going to kill me. So it is a huge victory, obviously, but I still have to work through these other things and like trying to face things and face problems head on, like these kind of issues. It's difficult when you have anxiety, but I'm doing it and it's getting better and better. And I think it will continue to get better as my physical health improves and as I develop more flexibility, courage, these kind of skills without the ED, which is what I'm currently doing. So I would say I'm kind of in the legacy of it, or the after effect of it, which, in trying to rebuild life without it. This person, I think, is still very much in it. So yeah, and while some of it was messed up and scary, it also taught me that I do well with structure. Structure was the key to my success. So it's giving black and white thinking. It's giving extreme like mindsets that are not healthy. You always want to have balanced, like one of the most, okay, this is something that's super interesting. So one of the things that if somebody has BED, one of the most disgusting things you could say to somebody with BED is, Well, have you tried a moderate calorie deficit where you lose 1 pound a week? Somebody that has BED, they hear that and they're just like, even if they don't express it, it's like, what? Why would I do that? Right? That's kind of the mindset. And it's because when you're in that state, you're always thinking of extremes. I'm doing all of this. I'm eating everything I want all the time, or I'm not having anything I want at all, ever. And then you're switching. And it's like, no. Let's do the middle. You know, I've done a caloric deficit off and on. There are times when I don't do it. There are times when I do it. That would be triggering for somebody with BED to hear. There are, you know, even when I'm counting calories and I'm attempting weight loss, I still have candy almost every day. That is something that would trigger, or not trigger, but upset somebody with BED. They'd be like, how are you doing that? What? You can't do that. They have BED, people that have BED, especially if it's very severe, there's these very rigid mindsets around dieting and around weight loss, and they're not healthy. They're not sustainable. They're not realistic. They're crazy making. And in the case of BED, it will almost always lead to weight gain because you spend most of your time in the B phase, which is why you gain, because during those phases you gain. So it's awful. But anyways, these are ways. Try to think of gray areas. Thinking of gray areas will help within diet. Could I do this but also have this too? Could I create a diet plan where I'm having carbs, protein, and fat? Could I create, what would a moderate, or what would a mild or moderate caloric deficit look like? These are the kinds of questions that I think somebody with BED should ask, because you should think, okay, what if my weight loss took me 4 years? And the thing is that I understand that within society and American society and all these things, people push for you to go as fast as possible. I understand it. We call it the Biggest Loser effect on this channel and on a lot of other channels that criticize the Biggest Loser mentality. It's not good. You're not on the Biggest Loser. You're not in competition. Remember, you're on a ship and you have to turn the ship around, and it can turn slowly, right? Huge ships don't turn like this. They turn like this, slowly over time. And that's all we're trying to do, is just slowly turn you in the right direction. You see? And you're going to get there. And then when you turn the whole way, then you're going to go like this. And you go nice, slow, and steady, but you keep going. And that's the point. And then even if you're going, and then you stop for a second. It's okay. And then you're going to go ahead and keep going again. Okay? Especially if you're really, really, really big, you need to develop a sense of patience, because it's really, really important, because it doesn't matter how much weight you can lose if you keep gaining it back. It's useless. It is a waste of time. What matters is that weight loss is weight that stays lost. So always work on all these different aspects the whole way. And you do your mental health as you go. You do everything as you go. Anyways, I don't like the way that she's talking about this. This sounds very still very much in it. You know, like I said, I read this and I feel like this person is at a huge risk of a relapse. Basically, that's how I feel. It's kind of scary to read, to be honest. When I got home from Virginia, I relapsed almost immediately. I could tell. I mean, like I said, the mindset is just not there. Just like I had every other time I got home from treatment. Without a strict schedule in place, it felt impossible to survive in the real world. Then I got hired at a cafe as a barista, and everything changed. I found a purpose and a work ethic and friends. That's amazing. It's so important. A lot of people that have BED, especially on the introvert side, they struggle with going out, and they struggle with being involved with people, or doing these things. And that can take pressure off of that, because you get confidence from going out and doing things over time. And that was a huge part of my recovery. Huge. And it was awful. It was uncomfortable. I always tell my introverts, It's never going to be easier. There's no perfect moment. There's no hack. You literally just have to force it. Like, I just did a job where I had to do customer service and talk to people face to face, and I just forced myself to do it, basically. And it was awful. Like, trust me, it was horrible. And in that, it was when I was working at my first job at the airport, and it was international. And so a lot of times people didn't speak English. And so I was trying to communicate with them in, nonverbal ways or in coded ways, like it was very difficult for me. It was horrible, but it really helped me. It really did, because it helped me. It helped me get out of that extreme shyness and a lot of that social anxiety, because it's like an exposure therapy. It starts to open up your life over time. So I had to just do it. And it was a huge part of my BED recovery, because it's all about lowering anxiety across all aspects of life, and I'm still introverted. I still hate talking to people. That never changes. I still hate talking to people in public. I hate it so much. I really hate it. And there's certain things, like I still hate crowds. I still hate a lot of that stuff, but I force myself to go out and I force myself to do things. And my job is very in the public, and I'm out and about and around people a lot because I have to kind of like keep it up, if that makes sense. To be honest, I kind of want to stay home a little bit more these days, but regardless, I'm always making sure I talk to people. Like if I'm not going out all the time, then I get on the phone, I talk to friends, I do this, right? Like I just make sure that I'm always talking or I'm keeping up with things, because it keeps me healthy. When you're really, really introverted, it can cause a lot of issues if you never talk to people or if you never go out. It can make your anxiety much, much worse. So that is something I will always continue to do, probably for the rest of my life, because I have to be sane, basically. So just make some extroverted friends and just talk. It's great. It helps a lot. Okay. Anyways, so she got a job and she felt better. Okay. Senior year. Okay. Oh, feel bad for her. Without a new schedule and a burgeoning life that didn't solely resolve around treatment, I felt determined to create the body that everyone had been telling me I needed to have in order to truly live. I've told you guys that a lot. So when you actually get out and you start doing things in your life, it gives you motivation to lose weight. Now, where I am scared is if the mindset behind it was bad, because people do forget that within BED, there is weight loss too. I was inspired to lose weight and call it recovery, even though it wasn't recovery at all. Yeah, because the mindset is still disordered. I can tell from the way the story's going. As the weight melted off of my body, the world treated me differently, like I deserved to be in it for the first time. After losing 168 pounds, but gaining a confused sense of self, I found myself with 2 public-facing jobs in the food service industry. All right. Sorry, I don't know why I'm like burpy today. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep it on the DL, but anyways, she's making me nervous. All right. This is not a good mindset. ED logic. I deserved to be in it for the first time. You always deserve to be in it. Nobody deserves to be in the world or not. You just are. That's a disordered mindset. Okay. So, and notice how she connects it to the weight. As the weight melted off my body, words are important. I deserved, weight and deserved. Okay. It's ED. That is a disordered mindset. Those 2 things should not be connected in your mind. Okay. On one busy Saturday afternoon, At the hibachi restaurant, I stood at the podium silently panicking at the newly formed line that extended through the double doors and out onto the sidewalk. Girl, I can't even imagine. I would die. I want you guys to know that if this was ever me, I would be dead too. This is like an introvert hell. Oh, I don't even want to think about that. Oh, what a nightmare. Okay. As the line grew, my confidence shrunk. 2 top, 4 top, family of 8. I couldn't keep track of who should go where or when. Ugh. And then I saw her, Brenda, with her straight blonde hair and blunt cut bangs covering the freckles on her forehead. When we made eye contact, she threw her arms up and covered her face with her thin hands, a giant ring adoring each of her fingers. Sarah! Most of the time working in the town where I grew up was no big deal. It was easy to forget where I was, at least during the school year. Most people were still off at college, unlike me, who lasted 2 months at the School of Visual Arts before going on medical leave and getting admitted into my 3rd and then 4th and then 5th hospital/treatment center. But sometimes, like today, there would be a run-in with someone from high school. Sarah, is that you? Brenda asked almost hysterically. I lifted my hand into a half-assed wave, smiled back meekly, and laughed awkwardly. Hey, Brenda, I replied. Instead of the long time no see, how have things been response I expected, she started crying. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me just tell you. This is going to sound so bad, but there's a lot of times where, like, if I know somebody, and I don't mean like a friend or something like that, but like if I knew somebody, like if there was an acquaintance or something and I saw them in public, I would avoid them. I'd be like, I'm going to go down this other aisle of the grocery store. Like I'm going to zip away. So for me personally, this would be a complete nightmare because it's like a stressful situation. I don't know if Brenda's a friend. Like, doesn't sound like it. Horrifying. Okay. Instead of the long time no see, how have things been response I expected, she started crying. Okay, so this is about how big she was, if you guys want to see. This is her at age 18. So I guess this is when they were like, you can't even fit in the chairs. Okay. She's big. She is definitely big. Okay. She wasn't crying because so much time had passed since we had seen each other or because we had been close. She started crying at the mere sight of me because my body, which had long been unacceptable to society, to my parents, to my doctors, to my friends, to my classmates, and to strangers, was now acceptable. Brenda cried because my smallness meant to her that I was okay. Yeah, this person is not out of the mindset whatsoever. I want you to know, Sarah, like you are giving, I am full blown still in my BED. Like, let's break it down. My smallness. You shouldn't be thinking about your body that much. That's weird. My body. See, the body image, the body obsession is still there. I really, really advocate for body neutrality. I do. It's so big. It's such an important thing because you can see what happens. Oh, every single interaction I have with everybody is because of my body. It's my body. It's my body. It's my body. It's my body. In reality, she might have been crying because she was relieved or happy or whatever. So we'll see what she said. Now, of course, this could be like a horror story because it's on Huffington Post and whatever, but we'll see. Okay. Brenda cried because my smallness meant to her that I was okay, and I get it. My smallness meant I was okay to me too. Despite the searing self-hatred, yep, that's the ED, I'd feel when I'd eat more than my allotted calories for the day or when the numbers on the scale stood still or, God forbid, went up, I was smaller and my body fit in the world in an unobjectionable way. So I was okay. I was good. I was worthy of life, right? Here we come again. Worthy. What do fat activists constantly say? We deserve to take up space. We are worthy. These are ED mindsets. this is a spiritual or a religious context. Your body is a physical subject. So your body should just be healthy, unhealthy. Able to fit in a chair, not able to fit in a chair. You think about it that way. It's neutral. There's nothing else really there, you know. But saying my body makes me worthy, that's ED, because you're putting too much emotion into your body. It's too much. It's too much. Self-hatred. See, the searing self-hatred. The mindset is still there. The person is in huge risk of relapse. If that's bad. Okay. As I watched the tears stream down her face, I wasn't sure what to do. Part of me felt affirmed. All of my hard work had made this girl I barely knew cry, so clearly I'm on the right path here, I thought. So here's the other thing too. The weight loss is completely about social stuff. It has nothing to do with health. I have not heard a single thing in this article mention health. What's missing, you know, from where's the elephant that isn't in the room? The health. This person is still in crazy ED town. Sorry, but I gotta call it out. Gotta call it out. And again, people will criticize you for talking about your health. Like I recently got a comment that when I was talking about my health, I was just wanting sympathy or something. And I'm just like, or I'm a hypochondriac. And it's like, there are people that legitimately do not understand that obesity is a health risk and that obesity causes health issues. Like, I don't understand how I can live in a world, such a clown world, where I can still be as big as I am, and people try to tell me, and I've had this said a lot, that I'm just a hypochondriac, that my health issues aren't real, or that I don't really have health problems. Like, people try to say that a lot. And it's really interesting to me because it's giving so much delusion. Like, I'm morbidly obese still. Morbid, which again, I don't want to scare people. It's a slow thing. Like, think about the ship analogy, right? You're slowly going towards the health issues and early grave. But again, if you turn it around, you can slowly go away from it. You see? So don't think like you're not going to die tomorrow, okay? But if you're really, really big, you do need to work on it. Like with a little bit of, okay, let's go. Breathe. Let's do this, okay? Because, you know, being morbidly obese like I am now, I do feel like I have more time, but it's still like not a great place to be. I'm still not healthy and I still am going to have issues. But what do I talk about all the time? My health. What do I not talk about? I don't talk about how I look or if I'm worthy. You guys never hear me say that. I mean, gosh, that's so, I don't know. Ugh, gosh, like that is just, oh gosh, I almost makes me want to throw up just thinking about saying things like that. But it's just so toxic and it's so, I don't know, it's so old. You know, I don't think I've had ideas like that in my mind since like 2014, you know. But again, like you got to get rid of that. It's just a bunch of BS. It's not real, you know. But you guys don't hear me talk about it that way. I don't talk about it like that. I don't identify with my fatness. I don't. You know, even when I had my identity crisis last year, it had to do with no longer being so ill. But again, you know, make it make sense, right? I'm trying to talk about my health for sympathy, even though I talk about how it's improving. It doesn't really make sense, but people are crazy. And I feel for a fat person in the world that is trying to lose weight and is hearing these types of criticisms from people. And this is why I will always tell you guys, do not do this for other people's approval. Do not do this for other people's approval, ever. You do this to take care of yourself. You do this for a different reason. You do this so you can, whatever goal you have, do not make it about other people's approval, period. Because it's not necessarily going to happen. And do not base your recovery in that. It's not stable whatsoever. Okay. Anyways. Okay. All of my hard work had made this girl I barely knew cry, so clearly I'm on the right path here, I thought. But most of me felt an unbearable pain. I'd already become accustomed to this dichotomy of emotions before Brenda walked into the restaurant that day. Every run-in with someone from my past was some version of this scene. They'd celebrate my looks and tell me to keep up the good work, and then leave me standing there haunted by what they must have thought of me before I had lost the weight. No. Like, this is taking a compliment and making it bad. It's not healthy. Just because you hate yourself doesn't mean that other people hate you. And by extension, just because some people may hate you doesn't mean you have to hate yourself. You gotta work on that kind of stuff. Like, even for me, it's a little bit, I could get a little bit of anxiety over it. I could be like, you know, but it's not actually meant to harm you. Unless if they're like, oh, you looked like such trash before or something, that would be rude. But it's like just celebrating it or being happy for somebody for accomplishing their goal. You need to get a grip. Okay. You really, really do. Because this is not healthy. It's not a healthy mindset. It just isn't. Anyways. Not that I didn't already know what they thought of me before. You don't. Because you're not thinking clearly. You have ED mindsets. You have ED brain. You're not thinking realistically at all. The before lived in every cell of my body. See, she didn't want to give up the identifying with being fat. And that's a huge ED mindset. It's huge. It's so horrible. I would never, ever want that. And again, I divorced that from my mind 10 years ago. A long time ago. It's one of the first things I did to get rid of it. You got to let that go. You're not a fat person, you're a person. Stop identifying with it. It's not healthy. It doesn't make any sense. It's not real. No. And it's those kind of mindsets that are really toxic. That's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, I won't live my life because I'm fat. I won't do this because I'm fat. I won't do that because I'm fat. I won't go here because I'm fat. I won't try to date because I'm fat. I won't try to live my life because I'm fat. I won't try an adventure because I'm fat. I didn't allow that. I went to fucking Australia. I went to New Zealand. I got jobs in the public. I got on dating apps. It was horrible. I did it all. I had extroverted friends. I went out to bars. I did things because I went on hikes. I did stuff. I didn't allow myself to identify with being fat because it was no longer a part of my identity, and I lived my life. It doesn't mean it was always sunshine and roses. No. You know, a lot of the time it was a nervous wreck. I was really anxious, but I still did it. Because I wasn't going to sit here and not live because I was fat. And that's a horrible mindset. It's an ED mindset, and you have to throw it in the trash. Now, if you have health issues, which again, it's a physical thing, then know your limits and start small. That's different. But if you're relatively okay, then live your life to the fullest extent you can. You know, I was younger during those years. I was still kind of okay. You know, unfortunately, my health took an absolute shit towards 2020, as I've told you guys, and I had to really slow down after that, and I had to really, really recover. But I'm getting on the other side now, where I'm like, oh, I guess I can go out again. I can do things again, you know. I'm still fat. I'm still a fat person. I'm still doing this. I've got YouTube going. I'm trying to do all this stuff. I'm going back to LA this summer. I'm doing a lot. I'm going to go to my friend's wedding. Like, I'm going to live my life. I'm still fucking fat, but I don't identify with it. I don't let it define me, and you shouldn't. It's not healthy. It's an ED mindset. Okay. Let's see. The before tricked me into believing that I hadn't just traded one ED for another. I think it's just all the same one, to be honest. I think you were just in a long restriction spell and you may have gained it all back. We'll see how that goes, but it's not sounding great. I'm sorry, she said, wiping her tears. It's just... I swooped in and gave her a loose hug. After all, it was my fault for having my body and making the poor girl cry. No, this is way too people-pleasing. No. If I was standing somewhere and someone cried, I would be like, probably giving them a little bit of a Samara face. I'm not going to lie. Because I'd be like, honestly, my thought process would be, oh my gosh, this is really gay. So I'd be like, are you okay? You know, that would probably be my response. Are you all right? Like, ooh, this is getting kind of gay. Like, that's kind of what I would be thinking. I'd be like, ooh, okay, you know? But it's like, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I have to give you a hug because I made you cry. Oh, no, I told you. I really think there is a huge people-pleasing aspect to BED. When I was trying to be a people-pleaser, it was some of the worst years I had with my BED was when I was trying. I just don't think it's good. You know, you're not beneath other people. You're not above other people either. You're just like other people. You're the same. So somebody's getting all gay and emotional to me in public, I'm going to be like, okay, like what's going on, you know? Like, are you okay? That would be my reaction. I'm letting you know. And I'm just kidding. Could you imagine if somebody, oh my gosh, I would die. I would be like, oh gosh. Oh gosh. Sorry. This is like giving me such like, as an introvert, I just want to die reading this. This is horrifying. Okay. Anyways, I prayed no one else in the line noticed what was happening as she screamed, "You look so good," while drying her face. Okay. Well, if it was a compliment, I'd be like, thanks. Oh my gosh. I look so good. I brought you to tears. That's what I think. See, that's when my ego would come in. If they said that to me, I'd be like, oh, okay. That's why you're crying, because I look so beautiful. I look so good today. So, okay. No, I'm just kidding. But that would be my response. I'd be like, oh. But I would still think it was gay, to be honest. But I wouldn't hate the person if they said that. I'd be like, oh, okay. Be like, okay, like that's, you know, I'd be like, are you, I don't even know what I would say. I think I probably would say nothing, honestly, at this point. I'm like trying to think and I'm like this is so introvert scarring. But I'd still be like, thank you. Oh my gosh, you know, I could probably say that. That's probably what I would say. I'd say thank you. Say thank you. Oh my gosh. That's what I'd say. This is fun for me. I don't know why. Okay. The introverted desire to like think about hypothetical situations is really, it's gay in and of itself. Okay. Anyways, it was years before I'd realized my body never belonged to me. Oh my gosh. What the hell? Like the obsession. Notice the obsession here. Oh, I am so glad I don't even think like this. I am so grateful. Like, praise be to the God above that I do not think like this. That I would never get on here and tell you guys, I'd realized my body never belonged to me. Ugh. ED alert. How other people's opinions dictated how I felt, ate, moved in the world. No, that should not be the thing. That's not okay. That's weird. Notice, think about how weird that is. That doesn't make sense. People don't, like, you shouldn't think like this. This is so ED. It was years before I looked back at photos of myself as a child and was confused as to how this cute, funny little girl was led to believe she was a disgusting monster who didn't deserve to be alive in the body she lived in. I don't even know. I mean, I would look at whatever trauma was going on, honestly, because it probably was something else that you don't want to talk, that you don't want to write about. So I would look at that. That would be my first clue. But at that moment in the restaurant with Brenda, I felt validated and humiliated, confused and confirmed. All I knew for certain was that the smaller me was good and the larger me was bad. I had to keep counting, keep restricting, keep shrinking, keep doing what you're doing so that the world will love you even though, sorry, I broke character for a second. Okay. Keep doing what you're doing so that the world will love you even as you hate yourself. I told myself, they'll love you so much they will cry at the sight of you. That's ED. You hear the, it's that emotional pitch of, it's that rumination. It's like, oh, if you're going in that spiral, break the spiral. Notice that's happening. Be like, wait, whoa. And just be like, hey, it doesn't matter. My body's my body. Whatever. No emotion about it. Divest emotion. Oh, other people, they like me or they hate me, or they like me or they hate me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There'll always be some people who like you. There'll always be some people who don't. And guess what? You're still alive in this very moment. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So this is her when she was thin. Or thinner, I'm guessing. She wasn't, she looks a normal weight. I don't know. She looks fine to me there. During the 16 years that followed that afternoon, I was forced to face how damaging my weight loss had been. My relationship with food and my body felt almost irreparable. And experiencing the stark contrast in how people treated me depending on the size of my body left me terrified and bewildered. Oh, God. Girl, you're an introvert. Introverts don't care. Stop it. Like, it's bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. This is internal shit. This has nothing to do with other people. It's ridiculous. Like, there are so many difficulties in being introverted. There really are. But there are so many benefits too. As I always say, one less person, one less problem. It's a good mindset to have because you don't need as many other people. So it doesn't matter if they like you. So you don't have to live like that. You were struggling so much because you didn't like yourself. You hated yourself. That's what it is. That's the problem, because when you're always with you. So you're always telling yourself how awful you are. You're always telling yourself how much you hate this about you, that about you. All these negative things. It's this never-ending ED commentary, like a loop, soundtrack, over and over and over and over and over again. That's you. It doesn't matter how other people treat you. They can even compliment you and you still take it as an insult. That's you. It's because you don't. It's because you hate yourself. That's why. And you have to stop. It's horrifying. Is it the weight loss that damaged you, or is it some other experience that you don't want to write about? Because I can guarantee you probably don't want to write about it because it's actually traumatic and it's actually difficult to talk about, and you probably wouldn't want to put it on blast. So this is ED. She's using her weight as a distraction from whatever else it was. ED. You can see it in the article. My weight loss was damaging. What about whatever happened to you? Talk about that. That's what I want to know. Because this is giving something serious happened to you. And you don't want to say. Because you want to just talk about your weight, which is an ED thing to do. Okay? Stop using it as a distraction. It's so damaging. It's not the weight loss that's damaging. It's the ED that is damaging. I can't. I tried to immerse myself in the world of anti-diet and body acceptance that was newly budding at the time. I listened intently and understood just how deeply I had been harmed by the false and dangerous ideals of a fat-phobic society. We are literally seeing how damaging fat acceptance is for people with BED. Because guess what? She could still obsess over her body. She could still obsess. Now she can obsess about how other people feel about her body, how other people think about her body. It's even worse. It's even more insane. You never got rid of your BED. I knew this person was going to gain it back. When I gained back, of course you did, because you were still in the BED. I've pointed out to you guys all these different things throughout the article. This is ED, this is ED, this is ED, this is ED. Look at her. She gained it back. I told you, this person's at huge risk of a relapse. This person's at huge risk of gaining the weight back. Of course she did. Guess who isn't going to gain it back? I'm not. I don't think like her. See how differently I think? Nah. When I gained back almost half the weight I had lost, I put all my energy into learning to love and accept myself as is. I stopped binging and stopped restricting and tried to have a normal relationship with food. What does that mean? What does it mean? Because you still don't have a normal relationship with your body based on this article. Is it the food or is it the body? I find a lot of times when people talk about their relationship with food, they're struggling. I would suggest try to have a normal relationship with your body. That's the problem. It's that you're fixated on your body. Try to have a normal relationship with your body. And what does that mean? It means there's no emotion. Your body just exists. Your body's just there. Any emotion you put into it, you're projecting it onto it. Your body is just your body. This is my body. This is how I am. This is me at this time. This is my body. Period. End of sentence. Nothing else. Boring. Pedestrian. Your body should be a pedestrian, boring, dull topic. It's just my body. Whatever. Now, I just dropped something. Woke you guys up. Getting into somebody else's body, like being like, oh my gosh, like if you're dating somebody, for example, and you're just like, oh, like I'm obsessed with their body, or in my case, I'm obsessed with his body. Ooh, that makes sense to me. But being obsessed with your own, it's like, no. Like, why? I wouldn't care if somebody else was obsessed with mine. I'd be like, you know, if I was into him or whatever. But I'd be like, oh my gosh, are you? Oh my gosh. You know, I would think like that. But it's like, I wouldn't be like, I don't know. It's just boring. Get to a place where your body is boring. Because you see it all the time. And you see it every day. It's like, whatever, pedestrian. Could you imagine if I had like stickers or something and you could put on your mirror and it could be like a picture of me saying, your body is pedestrian. Pedestrian body vibes. It's boring. It should be boring. Okay. Should be a very boring topic. Strive for that because it is. Okay. Let's continue. I started a career as a health coach in hopes of helping others to do the same, and then I left that career just as quickly as I started it. The truth was I didn't love or accept myself. The truth was I was spending every night crying in bed, wishing I was small again. My body at every size sparked too many opinions, too much shame, too much praise. Yes, because you're obsessed. You're still talking about it. I already moved on. I already forgot about your body, and now you're bringing it up. You're fixated. This is fixation. It's too many of your opinions, too much of your shame, too much of your praise, too much of your harm. It's you. You are obsessed. That's what it is. You are obsessed with your body. Your body is a pedestrian topic. It's boring. I'm bored. No matter how much work I did or how many healers and therapists I saw, I was never able to disconnect my self-worth from my size. It's because you're obsessing over your body. I couldn't help other people get to a place of acceptance when I couldn't accept myself. Gosh. Oh, gosh. So we're going like through a whole tour here. Jeez, now we're going to look at the interaction of BED and semaglutide. This is probably going to be very negative. Recently, with the rise of the popularity of semaglutide and other weight loss drugs, I've grown even more wary of what's ahead for those of us without bodies that aren't considered acceptable. The body acceptance and body positivity movements that have finally begun to catch fire have been maimed, perhaps fatally. Oh my gosh. You guys, I'm losing it. I wish that when I was young, I wish somebody would have slapped me in the face and told me, why are you so obsessed with your body? Because honestly, I wish I could slap her right now and ask her. It's ridiculous. Body. Look at how many body. Let's see. Bodies. Bodies. It's in one paragraph. How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times in one paragraph. You think she's out of the ED? I don't. She's still there. She never got out. And the fat bodies that were finally being seen on runways and TV shows are now being pushed back into the shadows. For a good 6 or 7 years, I thought kids growing up today would finally have a better shot at a healthy relationship with their bodies. They do, if they don't act like you. If they don't think about it all the time, then it'll be a healthy relationship with their body. If their body is pedestrian to them, their body is a boring, mundane topic, which is what it should be, because you see it every single day. And most people are not turned on by themselves, you know. I don't think that that's necessarily healthy, so it shouldn't be all that exciting. Regardless. Okay. Anyways, this is her now, I'm guessing. Okay. I'm not surprised that a quick fix for weight loss has inspired this shift backwards. I doubt that anyone who has ever been fat is. Because while publicly it seemed our culture was beginning to accept more kinds of bodies, behind closed doors, that old story we'd always been told remained the same. Though we now know body mass index is not accurate. I'm going to just start saying that word like that so you guys can see how obsessed. Is not an accurate or useful measure for health, and countless other myths that equated thinness with well-being have been busted. Okay, we're getting into massive ED logic. Woo, we're going into the next phase, the totally off the deep end phase, where we divorce from all reality and we just say crazy shit and then act like we're right. Okay, here we go, dissociative delusion. Okay. Equating thinness and well-being. All these myths, quote unquote, have been busted. BMI, it's not accurate or useful at all for anyone. Yeah. All these myths have been busted. No. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. In the last 4 years, I have still had countless interactions with medical professionals who made it clear that they did not approve of my body. I have been offered Ozempic by doctors. Yeah, I don't think that's great. I told you guys, be very, very, very wary if you have an ED. I don't think doctors should just push that on people because you need to I think they should screen because could be abused. A dental assistant praised me for my oral hygiene in one breath, and in the next she told me I should stop eating junk food, even though she has no idea what my diet includes. And she was obviously just making the statement based on my size. Or should I say based on my body? My body. A gastroenterologist who knew about my my ED history told me that I should learn how to live without dinner. Ooh, yeah, it's bad advice. A fertility clinic refused to move forward with IVF for me unless I lowered my BMI. Look, I don't know. People don't always understand ED. Look, I wouldn't say this to somebody just because it's not necessary. You just need to figure out what works for you. I don't really suggest fasting at all. There's a lot of things I wouldn't personally suggest. But I do suggest tracking your calories, but having a moderate or low amount of a deficit if you need to lose weight, and expect to lose it very slowly, especially if you're hugely fat, okay? Which is a very specific condition to be in. But otherwise, stop obsessing over your body. That'd be probably the first step for her. Say, stop thinking about it so much. Anyways, the response from the fertility clinic nearly killed me. It caused a mental breakdown that led me to counting calories and restricting my food intake again, even though I knew better. You knew better than what? Even though the last thing I ever want for my future child is to be raised by a mother who is scared of food and her own body. You have not gotten over it at all. You never got out of it. I want anybody who sees this video understand this person has never gotten out of the ED. They've been in it their whole life. By the way, her own body. It's there again. I don't know if I will ever know what it's like to live in my body as though it is my own. I don't know if I'll ever be able to numb the memories of strangers on the street telling me to lose weight. You're just obsessing over it. Obsessing. And people I knew praising me and crying in relief because I did. Obsessed. But I really hope someday I do. I hope someday I wake up in my body with my own opinions about what is right and feeling like myself. I hope someday society will realize that size truly does not matter and that we can all exist peacefully in our own bodies just as they are. I can hear that ED pitch, that rumination. It's exhausting, girl. You never got out of it. You never got out of it. You need to deal with the trauma that you have. You clearly have severe trauma from something that happened, and you need to unpack that. And I'm not saying that to be condescending. I'm saying stop using bodies and body and body and body and body and body as a distraction from very clear issues that you have. Something very obviously happened to this person, in my opinion. And I am so sorry for that. You know, I'm not making fun of the person. I'm making fun of the ED logic because it's ridiculous. And I will always point out how ridiculous it is. It's ridiculous. The obsession is ridiculous. Be very careful, you guys. Wow, I didn't realize that was going to be such a minefield. But, you know, we could really talk a lot about ED. So I guess that's good. Let me know what you guys think. I'd really appreciate your opinions and thoughts, etc. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. Peace.